Good morning. My name is Angel, and this is Saying Goodbye. This is episode number 20, the big 2-0. I've been waiting for a couple of weeks, been trying to do some things, and I was trying to link up with a good brother of mine and try to work something out so that I could get, to New York so that we could record an episode together, and things haven't been able to mesh. And that's all right. You just keep trying and you just keep coming, back to the drawing board, and you try to do what you can. And right now, it didn't work, but I'm thinking that like next week, I will be able to link up with that brother, and we will be able to do what we have to do. And then so you go, you try planning, you try asking, other people like, hey, what's your schedule like? Like, when can we get together? When can we do this? When can we do that? Holidays come, family comes, life shows up, and then I'm looking at my timestamp, and I'm like, oh my God, it's been 3 weeks. I've been having some thoughts of what I would like to share about, and it excuse me, it has been one thing that's been lingering in my mind, um amongst a million other things, because what I do is drive myself nuts with all the thoughts that go on in my mind with everyday life and the things that we get into on a daily basis. And episode number 20, um saying goodbye. And a lot of people, sometimes people stumble across this video, will probably be the first one, and they wonder like what it is that I'm talking about, and what it is that I'm saying goodbye to. And I say it over and over just in case somebody logs on and watches this video as the last one being first, that we're just saying goodbye to generational curses, saying goodbye to old patterns, saying goodbye to past lives that no longer serve us, like here in the present. Things that don't they're not helping us to move forward in a positive way. And we're just saying goodbye to things that God doesn't want us to hold on to. We go through different seasons for different reasons. There's a reason why we're not walking around with rain boots all year, because that's not what it is. We have different, you got the summer, you got the spring, you got the fall, you got the winter. Thank God every day we don't gotta walk around strapped down with boots and 3 layers and 2 coats. Especially with this last winter that we had, it was vicious. So, excuse me. That's what we doing. That's what I'm doing. And you know, for me as a man, um, just for me, life is just tough. Having to suck it up all the time. Happy wife, happy life. And vice versa. For like a woman, it's like you got to keep your husband happy, and all the things that you're told as a child. And um you get all this advice from people that aren't living healthy lives themselves. You get all this relationship advice from people that aren't leading healthy relationships in their lives. They don't have a relationship that's healthy themselves, but somehow they know all the answers. There's people that'll tell you how to live life, and they just don't got it all together. But there are some people that are working on things, and they can tell you things from a healthy standpoint. And for me, I'm talking about my standpoint after I was born into the the torture of drug addiction. My mom being addicted to drugs and my father not being present, and like what happened in my experience and what it did to me, and doing a lot of work, stopping the drinking, stopping the drugging, stopping the lifestyle of doing the thing, all the things that I learned I had to unlearn and get rid of and break down walls and just change all the things that I learned growing up. And there's been something that's just been like real heavy in my heart, because I just, God is my foundation, and he has been for a while now. And something that I see like on a daily basis is just want to talk about the lack of love. And what does that mean? The lack of love in the world, the lack of love with the children to the parents, the lack of love in relationships. Everybody's just like breaking up after years of being together because like the world saying, oh, men are holding women back, and men have this toxicity about them, and this masculine energy and all these different things. They're like, because we have access to all this information, we're being told like all these different things, and it sort of puts the women against the men and the men against the women. And it's just so much stuff that's going on in the world. And it just seems like to me, when I look at things, it's like such a lack of compassion, a lack of love, and a lack of understanding and a lack of caring. But the thing that I want to talk about like just love in itself. And when you talk about love, like there's so many different meanings, because there's a love that you have for your children. Is a true, like, that is a true love, that like it's coming from a father, from a man. There's things that I do that my children will never see, that I do in the way that I love them, in the way that I show up. And in a lot of ways it's unfortunate, but a lot of people don't see that until we're talking at a funeral. And then you talk about all these things that happen in the background. Excuse me. And it just seems to be like a broken record, that we always go to these funerals and we're talking about people, and you hear stories of all the effort, all the ways that people have tied things together to make it happen in the background, and you don't even know that they did these things to make a birthday party happen, a sweet 16, uh, uh, a gathering, or to get a meal on the table, to get a Christmas gift, like the things, just to make, just a regular gift, or, just to make anything happen. Sometimes, and like nowadays, the way things are so hard financially, it'd be a miracle. It'd be a miracle to pull off, just going to the movies or going out for dinner, and you see people when you go out, and it doesn't be, it isn't like, not all the time. You don't see more than two, three, four people like together at a dinner table. And is for one, it's so damn expensive. It's like everything is so expensive. And for two, it just seems like everybody's in their own world. Nobody's really like together. And families are like pulled apart, everybody lives in different directions, and it's just this thing that's going on. I don't know if it's partly because we live our lives in our phones, partly because of like the trauma that we got from like what happened with COVID. And you mix that up with the fact that we got to work so much in order to make ends meet. You got to take on side jobs, you got to work your full-time job, you got to do overtime. Some people got second jobs, some people got third jobs, and it's always this money race. And in all of that, I feel like I lose my humanity. Like I lose my conscious contact with God. Everything is about making ends meet, paying the bills. Are you going to have enough this paycheck? And in all of that, you lose your sense of love. And I was talking about your love comes in so many different forms. It comes in the love for your children, which is unconditional. It could also be unconditional when it comes to a partner, when it comes to your parents, when it comes to someone that you view as like a father figure or a mother figure. For a lot of us that our parents are gone, people that you grow to love like over the years, and a lot of friends that become brothers or become sisters, and just those friendship, those bonds that you build over the years. And for me, like the biggest one that stands out for me, because I am, first there's God, then I gotta choose myself, then comes, I don't know, a lot of people would disagree, it would come, my significant other would come after that, and then my children. Not that there's obviously a difference in the way that you love, but I'm saying like you're gonna spend the rest of your life with your significant other. Your kids are gonna mature, they're gonna grow, and we give our children pieces of us. We give our children parts of us so that they could help carry, so that it can help them carry themselves through life, and learn how to live a good life and try to live a decent life. So that they could, it's less of a bumpy road, even though life is going to take everybody for the ride that it's going to take them through no matter what we do. But you try to teach them things, and you teach them things and they teach you things when it comes to your children. Because you're going to learn some stuff with your kid that is going to build character in your life. It's gonna change you completely, depending on what type of parent you want to be, and what type of effort you put forward. And when it comes to loving anybody for any reason, it takes a lot of effort, and it takes choice. You got to choose every day that's what you want to do, because the the people that you love the most, whether it be your children, your significant other, a family member, a friend, no matter what, when you learn something about yourself, you learn that you're going to choose to love this person despite their shortcomings, despite the wrong that they do, despite all of that, you still choose to show up and love this person, help them along in life, be there for them, and do whatever you can to show them and to show yourself, to say, you know what, no matter what, I want to show up for this person. I want to be there for them. I want to be there for my kids, even though they're knuckleheads, even though they do everything wrong. And I be thinking about, sometimes I look at my kids and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? And then I think about what I used to do at their age. I was like, oh shit. They don't do nothing compared to what I used to do at their age, because we didn't have the technology, we didn't have the phones, we didn't have the computers, we didn't have no social media. We didn't have nothing. We went out and we made social media. We went and we made our lives colorful, and we were out in the street and we would hang out with so many different people, everybody from different backgrounds. We didn't care who we were hanging out with. But we had a certain type of people that throughout the years you learned that you liked, and you wasn't just hanging out with everybody, exchanging energy and just, smoking weed, drinking, partying, going to clubs and all of that. And we had the energy for that when we were younger, and then now you want a specific life, and you want to live a certain way. And I don't know about you, but I know that I like to be viewed a certain way. I like people to know about me that I got a big heart. I like people to know that I'm gonna show up no matter what. And to try to keep my word the best that I can. And I fall short on all of that. And that's okay, because I'm not perfect. I'm not. I'm not Jesus Christ. I didn't come to this world, and I'm not gonna live a perfect life. And that doesn't make any excuse for like me to just go and just screw shit up purposely. No, I'm just saying that sometimes things happen. Sometimes you just wake up and it's not your day. And that's my story. That those are the things that I go through. But as I think of love and I see so many relationships failing, and we have this illusion of something being better. You think, oh, I'm in this relationship, I'm tired of this person, they nag, they do this. And now your focus becomes all the negative. Your focus becomes all the things that they bitch about. Your focus becomes everything that they're not. Your focus becomes everything that they're lacking. And a lot of times it becomes that because we look at that within each other. We look at all the things that we don't have, because we have this device at our hands where we could look at beautiful women online. Look at women with a perfect stomach, a perfect round butt, nice legs, beautiful hair. They swimsuit models. All day there's a million of them you could look at online. And you say, man, that's perfect. And that's the illusion. It's the illusion of spray paint makeup. It's the illusion of makeup that fills in the potholes on the face, or it gives you no bags. You don't look you don't look human. You put on these teeth, they look whiter than white. It looks like you got a light bulb in your mouth. Teeth are perfectly straight. You know, and we live in a society where it's right now. It's instant, like coffee. And love is like a good stew. It takes time. It takes time, and sometimes you gotta scrap it and start all over. You gotta try different seasonings. You gotta call an old aunt or an old, grandmother, grandfather, or just someone that that's always cooked. Like, it takes so much to make a good soup, a good meal. Sometimes you gotta burn it. Sometimes it's not seasoned right. And sometimes you just figure it out. And no matter how much you figure it out, it never comes out 1,000% the same way all the time. And that's the beauty that I think that for me that I forget. I want everything to be perfect. I want everything to be right. With the love that I have for my children, I want my relationship to be perfect all the time. I want us to have these wonderful conversations. I want like the sun to hit at the perfect time. I want it to set. I want it to rise. And I forget to enjoy the love of the moment. I forget to meet people where they're at and not judge them for like where they're at in the season of their lives. I forget to have like compassion. I forget to have all these things. I forget to just watch them and remember when they were children, when they were small, when they were first born. And I forget about being scared, going to the hospital, falling apart, being afraid of everything. I forget about like when I brought them home and I want to check if they're breathing every 2 seconds and I can't sleep. I remember the restless nights, like, oh man, are they ever gonna stop crying? Do I ever gotta stop feeding them every 2 or 3 or 4 hours? Before you're able to like get like a consistent feeding schedule, sleeping schedule. On top of that, you gotta work and like you forget about all these things and you forget to remember those things and just remember the journey and say, wow, like I remember those days. You remember having fun with them and the first things they tried, like ice cream or fruit or a particular fruit or a particular food, and um wanting to introduce them to like all these things because they're so wonderful to us. Watching them grow and then watching them find their likes, what they like, what they don't like, or they don't like sauce, or they like creamy, or they like cheese, or they like this, and the laughs that come with it, the silliness and the clowning and the joking and the tickling and all those things. And then just like that, your kids are growing and they no longer want to be tickled. And then they don't want you in their space. And then they want to be grown. They want to do everything on their own. And it's odd because we raised them for that. We raised them to be independent. We raised them to go out in the world and take it by storm and be the best version of themselves that they can be. You try to teach them everything that you can so that they could be strong, they could be willing, resilient little human beings. And then they become these things, and then we don't want to let them go. And then we find ourselves wanting to spend more time with them, and then in a lot of ways, sometimes they don't want nothing to do with us. They going off to college. They excuse me. They become teenagers. They become young parents. Sometimes they just want to live their own lives, and they don't want you to have anything to do with it. And then like you have your partner, and I always say that whatever you focus on becomes your reality. And I know for me, myself, I'm always looking at the worst case scenario. And that's all right when it comes to certain things, not all things. It's all right for me to look at worst case scenario if we're out in public and I see things starting to brew and I say, all right, I have experience in this. I already know these guys are like saying things to each other, or these girls are being a little nasty with each other. We're in a crowd. Things can happen. I'm with my children. I'm with my significant other. I'm with my wife. Like I need to like just go somewhere else so that I just don't deal with that because I already have experience. That's okay. But it's not okay to do that with like your children all the time, the constant judging, or like in your relationship. Like the same way like I view my children, and I think of all the things I've been through, and I laugh about it, and I think of all the fun times, because I could go and I could think about all the bad times, but who the hell wants to think about all the tough times and all the rough stuff that you've been through? It's not about that. Like in my life, now I'm learning that, like in this season of my life, that I don't have to think about the bad times. I know that they happened. And they gave me experience where I don't want to go through that again. Or I don't want to make my wife feel that ever again. I know what that was like, what I put her through. I don't want her to put me through certain things. I know what that's like. I don't want to go through that. And, like for a lot of people, like we think of all the negative things and we let that shit consume us and take over our lives. And then we forget to focus on the beautiful parts of everything falling apart, things coming back together, having to break everything down, having to start back over at one. Some of us leaving long term relationships, like I got out of a 13-year relationship, and it is extremely difficult. It is extremely difficult to raise a child in two households. And, like, I got to start being more mindful that it's rough for her too. Like it's rough for me. I got to have more compassion, be more thoughtful, be more willing to help in certain areas, have healthy boundaries that I don't have to tell anybody else that I need to go by. And, it's like, oh, I'm not going to help her. Oh, we're not together no more. And I got to remember that my son is with her. I got to remember that she's still a person I spent a lot of years of my life with. And I know that we get into disagreements and we get into back and forth, but I always got to go back to the drawing board after I'm done being hot. And I got to think about what I could do, and I assess the situation. And sometimes I got to go back and say, hey, I was thinking about this. I didn't think about it in the moment. Maybe we can do this. And maybe would this work better for both of us? I was thinking maybe we could do this and you could take that weekend and I could take this weekend, and maybe we could switch it around. And if you do this here, then I could do that for you there. So if you're willing to meet me here and I'll meet you there, maybe it'll work out for both of us. And then that'll be better. And I gotta learn to like work better in my co-parenting. And I gotta continue to try to be like that every day, because sometimes I don't sleep enough. These days I'm sleeping 5 hours, 4 hours. There's so many things I want to do in the day, and I just want to live every moment. I just want to live and make the most of today. I want to give so much love everywhere. I want to talk to people. I want to talk to strangers. I wind up, in my job where I work, I talk to the homeless people. There's a lot of people homeless. There's a lot of people without their families. There's a lot of people that got mental health issues that are in the streets. There's a lot of people that got drug issues. And there's just, after talking to a few people, there's a few people that aren't on drugs. And they just lost it all and they just really couldn't afford it. There's people that are like homeless and working while they're homeless. And nobody even knows that they're sleeping in their car. And I see it, like being that I work as a public servant. And you just never know what people are going through, man. And, we're talking about love. We're talking about our children. We're talking about your wife, your husband, whoever you have at home. And we're talking about like focusing, and whatever you focus on becomes your reality, and having compassion, and I heard some things online, and I heard something that is it's so good. It's like, you choose to be loved in every situation. You it ain't all about what you want and the narrative of everything that you want. And you know I started to flip that and just started to think about, like, what would they want, what would make somebody else feel better. And when I started viewing life that way, when I started viewing, like how can I show up for this person, what will make them feel so good, and I stopped taking score. I stopped thinking about the fights. I stopped thinking about the things that they do wrong. I stopped thinking about how much people don't show up for me. And I started to just show love at my own capacity. Like, I'm willing to do something for you. I'm willing to do and pour out just what makes me feel good. Not what you expect, not what you want. Because and then I could just pull my boundaries and say, I'm sorry, I just can't do that right now. And it just seems like that's so tough for people to do, because we want this instant thing of feeling good, and we want to make people feel good, and that comes at an expense. Because even though you could have love for your significant other, you could have love for your children. You can have love in the relationships of your friends, of all these things. You can have love for all of that. But until you truly learn to love yourself and constantly pour into yourself and constantly think about how you feeling and what you need, you're never going to feel fulfilled. And for me, loving myself has been the hardest thing that I've ever done. And then this is why it all comes back to God. It all comes back to God, because God is going to love you, and He is going to be everything in your life, but He will never show you the whole way to the end of your life. He will never show you that. He's going to show you just enough that you could see in front of yourself, and you understand that He loves you without any condition. No matter how many bad things you do, no matter how much you screw up in life, no matter how people view you and what they say. If they say you're disgusting, if they say you're not a good human being, no matter what people say, God's love will always be without condition for us. And that is incredible. But God is never gonna do things for you where you're never gonna need Him. And that is the most beautiful thing. You're never gonna have God in your life and not need Him, because that's the way He's designed. He is everything. So we have to constantly come back to the source, come back to Him, and ask Him questions. And this is why we have different seasons in our lives. This is why things happen in different ways. Excuse me. This is why we need Him on a daily basis. That's why every day you get up, you pray. Every night before you go to sleep, you pray. Sometimes you're having a rough day, you got to pray 2 or 3 times throughout the day to get it together, to get it right, because you just need to be realigned. And that is the whole thing. Lord have mercy. Thank you, God, for like the clarity. Thank you for like allowing me to have that clarity right now in this moment. Excuse me. Because that is it right there. Like in loving ourselves, we got to come back every day like we do in prayer, like we do with God. We got to be consistent. We got to be disciplined. We got to be in it. We got to be present. We got to be ready to do whatever it is that we need to do to love ourselves, to meet ourselves where we are. Because we're so busy in loving everybody else. We're so busy loving our children. We're so busy pouring everything, making ends meet, working 2 or 3 jobs. Just give, man. As a man, that's all I've done my whole life. I just always, because it's a part of my identity, is who I am. It's my genetic makeup that I want to help. I want to be the suggestive party. How can we fix this? That's how my mind works. I don't need it all. Like, how can I fix this? How can I make it right? That's it. That's all I want to do. And in all of that, in everyday living, in working, I'm at work, I'm like that. Like, what can we do to fix this? And in all of that, I'm just pouring and pouring and pouring, and I have nothing for myself. And then we wonder, why is it that we feel so defeated, so deflated? And you feel like you just never, it's just you can't catch up. And this is why I'm telling you, I know for a fact this is why we feel that way. We feel that way. I feel that way because I'm constantly giving everybody the best of me. And then I don't save nothing for myself. And I'm just empty inside because everybody's just looking for like a handout. And I feel that way because I'm giving it away. It got nothing to do with anybody else. Because I could stop it at any moment. At any moment I could stop with all the giving. It's me. I'm forgetting to love myself. I'm forgetting to have compassion. I'm forgetting that I'm human too. And that I need to slow it down. I'm forgetting that I need to pray more. I need to look for God more. I need to have compassion. And even though I have compassion and I love my children, I can't do everything 100% for them. I can't give them everything. I can't do everything for them and live their lives for them. I can't do those things. It's unrealistic. So then I got to have boundaries because I love myself, because I don't want to spread myself thin. And that's the whole thing about love. But no matter what, I love love. I love to love people. I love to love my significant other. I love to love my children. But I got to always remember that without God's love, grace, and mercy, I'm empty inside. I'm like a glove with no hand in it. And that's how I've been most of my life. When I was getting high, when I was running the streets, I was filling myself with all this trash, and I just never felt fulfilled. And even as an adult, I feel depleted because I'm pouring and giving out, but I'm not pouring in. And if I can make one suggestion, it's the hardest thing in the world to love yourself, to think about you. Man, woman, it doesn't matter. We're the same, and we need each other. Listen, I need a woman in my life. I want a woman in my life. I want that. I need that. Can I live without a woman in my life? Absolutely, I can. But why? Why? There's things that a woman could do that I can't do. I can't. And I could be vulnerable and say those things. Like, I don't want to be without a partner. I don't want to be without a woman in my life. Because the softness of a woman, like, it is just like the most beautiful thing in the world when a woman is tender with you and just treats you with kitty gloves. And there's something about being able to melt into your woman and feel safe in that. You know, there's something that's beautiful about being able to, like, see one of your boys and talk the rawest shit you could talk and say the most derogatory things where you're not judged. It's a judge-free zone. When you call your boy up and you know you could say some stuff. And then it's the most beautifulest thing when you could call some of your boys you used to do that with and you talk about God and the connections in your life and love, and you're just at a different place. My brother Crow, we be on it like that, man. It's a whole different conversation. When I start to talk to my brother Crow, it's like you could feel like the love and the bond and everything coming together, and it's just full transparency and it's just vulnerability, and and we understand it and we allow it to manifest. The Holy Spirit be present. We just there, just dropping it. And you know, that type of magic you don't do every day. That type of magic takes time to brew that stew, right? To make that soup, to cook that plate. It takes time. And that's what love is for me. It's something that no matter what, I choose it every day, and I know it's not going to be perfect, and that's fine. But I still choose it anyway. But I choose God every day. I choose to pour into myself. I choose to pray to God, just to choose, like, to choose myself, to love myself, because nobody's going to love me the way that I need to be loved. And then in choosing to love myself like that, in choosing God first, and accepting God, and accepting my faith, and having that faith, and living with that faith every day, and not knowing it all, but knowing that I need love and I want that. I look to God for that. I fulfill myself with that. And then, and only then, am I able to pour that into every relationship in my life. And I guarantee you that if you tried that, if you tried to just pour into yourself, pour more into yourself, go to the gym. You got a lot of things in your mind, you need that ironed out, go to therapy. You know, if you're having a problem with drinking and you feel like you can't stop on your own, go to a meeting. NA meeting, AA meeting, whatever works for you. Find people that are like-minded. You know, if you want to build houses and do construction and do all of that, find people that are doing that, realtors, people that are flipping houses. Go around people like that. Go around like-minded people. Go around that. But the ultimate thing is learning to love yourself and accept yourself, and being humble and being human. And then when you're able to be that way with yourself, and you're able to have healthy boundaries with yourself, and you're able to be disciplined within yourself, that's the magic that allows you to go and be magical in other people's lives. And that's the secret there. And everything starts with God. And then self-love and pouring into yourself so that you're just overflowing. And when you're overflowing with love, that's what you share with other people. And then we learn to stop giving out so much of ourselves, because then we leave nothing for ourselves. There's no reserves. None. And that's why we wind up walking around feeling so empty. And feeling like somebody don't love us. Or they don't call us enough and they don't do this and I'm always doing that. It's because our vision is distorted. And all we're looking at is like what's coming in, because we're not busy taking inventory and loving ourselves and seeing where we fall short and keeping the eye on ourselves. And that right there is that's that's the recipe. You know, I hope you guys could relate to that, man, because it's like it's everyday life for me, and I struggle, and I'm gonna fall, and I'm gonna fail, and I'm gonna take 10 steps back, and I'm gonna lose my way, and all of that is okay for me because I get right back to it, and I'll get right back in line. There's nothing that a little prayer can't fix. And to the people in my life that I text every day and that I don't text every day, and to my kids, to the special lady in my life, like even my therapist, man, to my NA brothers, to my sponsors, to all the people in my life that made it possible for me to be here, that made it possible for me to be alive, for everybody that opened their house to me, let me sleep on the couch, on the floor, everybody that's a part of my story, because there's so many people that are a part of my story. I just want to say thank you. I want to say I love you. And, like love is contagious. Like share it. Be loving. Be kind. And even though you like me, you have a little Tourette's and you like wild out for a second, yeah, just come back. Come back to love, because we could use a lot more of it in this world. This is the big episode 20, Brooklyn. Bushwick, my oldest son got me this shirt. And I gotta order more shirts from the Positive Vibe. And I should have some in next week. I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time out for yourself. Thank yourself for giving yourself some time to like reflect and think about things that are gonna help you be a better version of yourself. And if you always choose love, you can never go wrong. Bam. That's how I do with my son. It's always love. It's always love. It's always love. It's always going to be love. And I will always choose love. At the end of the day, I'll choose God's love. I'll choose God. I'll choose love for myself. I'll choose love for everybody. And be good to yourself, man. Love yourself. Be gentle. We all just trying to figure it out, man. And it's not easy. I know it's not. But we choose it anyway. God bless you guys. Until the next episode, I'm hoping that I'll be with my brother and we'll be in a video together and we can make this happen for you. I'm really excited for like the next chapter of what's coming. God bless you guys. I'll see you on the next round.